sometimes even make what I call really funny resumes. You would have expected that for university students, they would at least provide some sort of professional resumes, but apparently there's still some a few graduates who are unable to make so. So I really hope that those students, especially graduating students, are able to find new information to prepare themselves with the upcoming future that they may hold. And I really like to thank our organizer for today for making sure that we are having such a good program, especially today. We'll be having a really experienced speaker, Miss Amira, if I'm not mistaken, and I really hope that the speaker would be able to share whatever information, vital information for these students to create and make sure that their future are brighter with their resume. And I would like to thank everyone for coming in today, and hopefully that we by the end of the session we will be having uh, good a good sharing that would not just benefit the students but me as well, so that we can always share information and knowledge. With that, thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you to Sir Azwan for his speech just now. Ladies and gentlemen, before I invite our speaker to share her sharing, allow me to explain a little bit of her background. Our speaker today is Miss Amira Akila Hadi. She graduated from the University of Manchester with a bachelor's degree in environmental science, geological, and earth science. She was a full government scholarship student. Being a resume reviewer and career speaker started from 2021. Up to this day, she has helped hundreds of fresh graduates and young professionals secure interview invitations after resume review sessions. She was also an employer branding and campus engagement specialist in Ernst and Young, which engage with universities and various organizations for career preparation programs. All right, dear participant, without wasting time, now allow me to welcome Miss Amira Akila Hadi to give her talk based on the title of our webinar, Resume 101, Everything You Need to Know to Impress Employees. Please welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Nur Zafira, our kind MC. Thank you so much, Sir Azwan and Datu Izwan, for the kind welcome. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Now, actually, I want this to be a really interactive session. So if you have any questions at all, please drop it in the chat box. I'll be happy to take that along my presentation today. And I really wanted to congratulate you guys because you do make time on a Saturday morning to actually be here and learn about resume, which is really good, right? So number one, that's the energy and the initiative that we wanted. Okay, so everything you need to know to impress employers. So just now, our kind MC has introduced a little bit about myself, but I think I should highlight that my background is actually environmental science, but then I pivoted my career into digital marketing and doing employer branding and campus engagement. And now I'm the marketing advisor, employer branding as well, and talent attraction in Shell, right? So jumping on to different industries. So I started off in a government agency for almost 3 years, HRD Corp, and then I changed into professional services, and now I am in the energy industry, which is something that I feel is definitely doable for any of you guys over here. If you are studying something else but you want to go into a work or a career into your own passion, you can definitely do that. And when she mentioned that I started my journey as a career speaker in 2021, so that's when I go out of my comfort zone. So I used to be very quiet on social media, especially LinkedIn. But then, I go out of my comfort zone, started creating content on the platform, and then gotten a lot of invitation from LinkedIn. So if you guys have yet to have LinkedIn, right? Definitely go on the platform, create account, build your profile, and create connection. Okay, right, so let's go dive into the topic. Now, before we begin, I actually wanted to do a little bit of a quick quiz just to understand a little bit about the audience today and see if you guys can answer the question. So I'm not going to be using Mentimeter. I just want you to put the answer in the chat box. How long do you guys think a recruiter or HR manager actually take to review one resume? How long do you guys think we take to review one resume? So I was a recruiter before for a short stint in EY in Ernst & Young, and then I came in as a full-time marketing advisor in Shell. So I do know we do receive a lot of resume, but I want you to guess, how long do we actually take to review one resume? Okay, Izwan said 10 minutes. Ashura said 1 minute. Good. Okay. I think perhaps you guys are warming up. Maybe you guys are having breakfast while enjoying this presentation and delivery. Good. Right. So the answer is actually 5 to 10 seconds, right? Oh, Azwan said 5 minutes. It's actually 5 to 10 seconds. So imagine for this one professional document, 1 page or 2 page, we only take 5 to 10 seconds to scan through. If we like, I mean, if we see that this potential candidate fits with the company, with what we're looking for, we'll definitely go on and learn a little bit more about you, maybe stalk you on LinkedIn, read along your resume to the second page, or maybe even contact your references, right? So, but basically, we only take 5 to 10 seconds to review one resume. I think I gave out the answer for this one just now. If you guys listened attentively, how many pages do you guys think your resume should be as a fresh graduate or as a professional individual with 5 to 10 years of working experience? How long do you guys think your resume should be? How many pages? Is it 1 pages? Is it 2 pages? Right? Vivi said 1 page. Good. Ashura said 1 page. Good. Right. Okay. So you guys were listening very attentively just now. Good. And the answer is 1 to 2 pages. Right. So if you are a fresh graduate, it's very ample. Only for you to have 1 page is enough. Unless you're trying to go into the educational world and you have a lot of projects or papers that you publish, then maybe 2 pages is okay. But for myself, I do have a 2 pages personally on my own resume. So a maximum of 2 pages is enough. Even though you have like 5 to 10 years of working experience, 2 pages is still the numbers that is very optimum for your resume. Okay. Right. So what is the average number of resume we as an employer actually receive in one opening? So if you saw there's a one opening or one vacancy in one of your dream company, right? I saw this morning there's an update of 50 top companies published by BCG and I think on there now Shell was number 15 or 20 if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead and find out about it. It was published by BCG. So if we open up one position in the company, on average, how much do you think we receive, the amount of resume we receive for this one particular opening that we have? How much do you guys think? Is it like 50? Is it like 100? Is it like 200? Is it like thousands of resume? On average, how much do you guys think? All right, as one said 100. It could be 50, Aisha. Yeah. Said 100. Elmi said 500. Ashura said 150. Now the answer is actually 250. Right? So I think what Izwan highlighted just now is really true. Even in UITM Sabah alone, when you graduated later, maybe at the end of this year or next year, you guys is a batch of what, 1,000, 2,000 people coming up the university, and then you have to fight with all these peers in order for you to get into this one particular position in the company of your dream or your targeted company. And on average, we actually receive 250 resumes, right? And only like maybe 5 or 10 of those got shortlisted. So you got to make sure that you really give your focus and energy in terms of building this particular document. And hopefully after this session, it will be a practical one. You are able to create one on your own. Okay. Now, last question. Just wanted to know, what percentages of resume do you guys think are rejected before they actually reach the hiring manager? Okay, now the flow over here, I'm going to give you a little bit of overview. Once your application come in the system, right, your resume will be reviewed either by the sourcer or recruiter, right? Or there might be some company that has a machine learning or called ATS in between those, right? So application, and then there's a filtration either by AI or by the recruiter, and then only your resume will reach the hiring manager, which is your future boss or your supervisor. So that's the sequence over there. So how many percentage, how much do you guys think resume are actually being rejected before they reach this hiring manager, your future boss. So all these steps over here might be after the application, the AI, and then the recruiter, the sourcer, and then the hiring manager. How many percentages do you guys think are rejected? Is it 20? Is it okay? Brian said 50%. Vivi said 90% got rejected. Muizuddin said 80%. Said 60. I saw 80. Afiq said 80. And the answer is actually 75%. So almost correct over there. So imagine all these 250 came in on average, and 75% are already being rejected. And then those who are actually being considered are filter it out again, and then only be reaching in the hiring manager. And then the hiring manager will shortlist which are the individual that they wanted to go to on an interview with, right? So when I give you all this information, it really showcases that the job market is really, really competitive, right? So you got to make sure that you build yourself during your university years, right? And how you can really give justification about all these vast experiences that you have in your resume. Let me just go back to the slides over here. When we see your resume, or when we network with you, when we see you, when you attend in an event like this one, right? What we want to understand is, number one, do we actually like you? Now, the component of liking is a lot. I wouldn't say it's biased, but at the end of the day, you're going to be working in a team, spending 5 days a week, 8 hours daily together. So you got to make sure that we work with someone that we are able to work along really well. So that's the number one component. Do we actually like you in terms of your attitude, in terms of your personality? Would you actually vibe and synchronize with the rest of the team members? That's number one. Number two, we want to see, are you different? Right? And can I just be honest, when I graduated, I don't think I'm very much that unique, right? I don't really have a lot of awards or anything. I only joined one club association as a normal committee, so it wasn't a lot. So don't feel discouraged. There must be something that is very unique in yourself that you are able to contribute and bring to the table to the employees. Just gotta identify those, right? So are you different? And number three is hunger for success. Now, this is something that we really, really wanted to see from an employee. Are you really hungry to be successful in this role? Are you really looking to learn about something new? Are you really up to a challenge to be successful and achieve the target that we wanted? So these are the three things that we wanted to see. And how can you actually showcase all this in your resume? Hopefully be sharing about that later on. Okay, so I'll be breaking down the session into two parts. Number one, I'll be talking about the structure, the crucial components for you to have in a resume, making sure that everything that you put in there are relevant. And next is the content, how you articulate your story, giving justice, like I said just now, giving justice and giving recognition to all the vast experiences that you have done in your university. Okay, so this is a breakdown over here. Number one, I want definitely on the top, looking at the contact details, and then there's a career summary. I think a lot of people don't put in a summary about yourself, which you should. A maximum of 5 sentences should be enough in the summary part. And then now in 2023, what I wanted to see first is your core competencies and then your education. Now, for this resume you're seeing on screen right now, they have the experience part first, right? Now, I want to change for fresh graduate, put in your education first and then your experience, right? Okay, after that, your experience. And under here, if you have accomplishment, you win awards, you have a lot of participation, you are project director for a organization, go ahead and put it after your working experience. And your working experience also include internship work, part-time work, or if you are freelance business, you have your freelance client, can also put it over there. And I do know some do work as a part-time content creator, whatnot, can definitely put in a working experience part, right? And then your references, right? So just like what I mentioned just now, switch education coming first for your fresh graduates after the core competencies, and then your working experience at the end there, put your references. Okay, now the first 4 steps that you should take when you're building your resume. Number one, reflect on your past experiences, because I do know that you've done a lot of things. Maybe all of you guys here are in your final year or even in your first year. These are some of the things that you should take note of along the way. Note down, jot down somewhere, maybe in your notes in your phone, or WhatsApp it to your friends, or put it in a Google Doc, some G Drive where you can refer easily, all the things that you have done in the past, right? And what you actually learn from those experiences. Now, for example, you are a part-time job as a cashier at McDonald's, right? So reflect on those. Try to identify, that's number 2, identify the skills that you have gained throughout. So as a cashier, you learn on how to build your communication skills, right? Public relation. You are building your integrity. Maybe you are handling the money, the cash machine. Or you also learn about problem solving because you have to face clients. A lot of those things you gain through your experiences, and a lot of transferable skills can actually be bring to the employer later on in the industry, in the workplace, right? So identify those. And number 3, research. Now, if you feel like, hey, I don't really know what I should identify, I don't really know what are the skills I actually learn, what are the skills that is important, go ahead and research about the role on LinkedIn. I cannot emphasize enough how powerful LinkedIn is. The benefit of LinkedIn is just a lot, right? So go ahead, make sure you have a platform, you have an account on the platform. What I want you to do is go to the person that you want to be. So for example, you want to be an accountant, right? So go to maybe your seniors or someone that you know you connected on the platform, and look at their work experience section and see what they do in that particular company. And if you see like, hey, I still haven't have yet to have these skills or haven't learned about this in my university, I should go ahead, go on Google or go on online learning platform and learn about it on my own, right? So research all these skills, and by doing that, you are able to somehow connect the dots, identifying what are the skills you have gained throughout your experiences. And number 4 is explaining your skills. Now, for explaining part, you got to make sure that maybe in your draft, you can just talk about it, just have a draft or explaining all things that you have. But in your resume, you really got to articulate your experiences, articulate your sentence using a formula, which I will share after this, okay? Now that's the 4 steps that you have to do before you actually go and build this particular resume, right? So have all this, dumped it somewhere in a Word doc, and have it to be referred when you are building this particular resume, right? So contact details. Now, I want you to identify what can actually be corrected in these contact details over here. So what you can see, there's a title of curriculum vitae, and then the name, and then this person also put in the full address of where they're residing, their telephone number, and then this person put in the email address, even put in a date of birth, and their photo. So what do you think can be eliminated or can be corrected in these contact details over here? What do you guys think? Should the photo be more professional, or should the photo be removed? What do you guys think? Should we not underline our name? Should we underline our curriculum vitae? Or should we not put our date of birth? Or should we put our date of birth? Now, what do you guys think? Okay. Should not have underline. Okay, thank you so much, Muizuddin. I don't think it's necessary. All right, Izwan, thank you. Okay. Vivi said not a good email. Good. Good for you to identify that. The photo should be more formal and professional. Good, Sharifa. Now, the answer is correct, what you mentioned over there. But what I would suggest and usually advise my participants is remove the photo from your resume, because you want to prevent unconscious bias from the employer. Beauty definition for different people is different. So go ahead and eliminate and remove that photo, right? So don't have photo in your resume. And you should also remove the title of curriculum vitae, because it's a self-explanatory document. We know this is your resume, so remove that. And you do not need to underline a title, something that you already bold. You do not need to underline a bold sentence, right, or word. So just put it something like this, very simple, and arrange it in horizontal manner, because you want to maximize the space that you have in your resume. So Jen Vedder, the name. And what I would suggest is also personalize your resume by putting in the name of the title that you want to go into or you're aspiring to be. So chemical engineer. And for the address, you do not need to put in your full address, just the city and state is sufficient. Your telephone number and email address. Sharifa, wait, who? Oh yeah, Vivi mentioned that it's not a professional email. That's correct, right? So make sure you go ahead and create a professional email. When I was an internship recruiter, I received a lot of resume that used their university email, right? So when they signed up on the platform for our maybe work portal or work landing page, right? They signed up with their university email. You don't want to do that because you're not going to be a student anymore. You're graduating. So make sure you create a professional email address that you would definitely use throughout your career, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Go ahead and create one. Make sure it's professional, right? So for example, like Gen.Vetter, or if those taken, go ahead and use all the other available platform other than Gmail, right? And another thing to note is make sure you also put in the link to your LinkedIn account, right? Now, I want you to do this. Why? Because sometimes we do want to understand a little bit more about you. So we click your link to your LinkedIn account and go ahead and understand about you a little bit more over there. Okay, Vivi mentioned, does that mean we don't need to put our photo on your resume? Yes, that's what I meant, right? It depends. If you are applying for a position like maybe I don't know, model or a TV host, then the photos is important. Or you are applying for a position that is the face of the brand, then definitely go ahead and put your photo. But other than that, the rest, corporate world, remove your photo. We don't want to create that unconscious biasness. Okay, right? Next, let's go down, go into a career summary. Now, there's two career summary over here. On the top there, basically this person is listing out all the soft skills that he or she has, right? But on the bottom, that is what I want to see for your career summary, right? Literally a summary of your background, starting with who you are right now. So perhaps a first year English literature student, with what are the skills that you are trying to emphasize for this role. If you know you're looking for an internship in a position, you must already know what are the skills required by the employee. Go ahead and highlight those that you possess. So for example, first year English literature student with strong customer facing skills gained through work experiences in what industry? Go ahead and mention that. Retail and charity sectors. And end it with an objective of what you are looking for with this particular resume. Okay, looking to secure a 3 months internship. If you are looking for an internship right now, mention the period of your internship and also the dates from when to when. And end it if you are looking to explore a career in professional services. Go ahead, you can even mention the name of the company. So for example, you want to explore a career in Shell, you want to explore a career in EY, you want the Big Four, go ahead and put the name of the company in there. Okay. So this is how you want to build your career summary, not by listing out all of your soft skills. Why? Because the soft skills can actually be seen in your sentences, in the working experience, or in the content of your bullet point. How you want to do that? Later I'll share with you. Okay. Now, so this is an example of mine, usually less than 5 sentences, and make sure you tailor it to make it really relevant to the role and to the employer. And usually fresh grads, you just use a general resume and you apply to all the jobs you see in the marketplace, on JobStreet, on Mount Kerja, on LinkedIn. You just apply using one general resume. You don't want to do that, right? You want to tailor it towards the position that you wanted. So for example, over here, I'm applying for a position digital marketing, then I'll definitely put those under my name. And when I highlight my experience, I also highlight about the things that could make me a little bit unique and different from the rest of the candidate, and what is something that I'm very proud of and I really want to talk about it in my profile section. And if you can see at the end here, I also put in the objective that resonate with the employer. So for example, looking to contribute my knowledge, skills, and experience for the betterment of Malaysia. So maybe this company over here, their vision and their mission relates to the betterment of Malaysia as a whole, right? So go ahead and do that. Tailor your resume towards the role and the employer. You just gotta imagine that, hey, when this person picked up your resume is speaking to me that I've definitely done my research. I'm really, really interested to go to your company. That's why I tailor a resume personally for you and not using a general resume that I just spray and pray to all the position I saw online, right? So that makes you different from any other candidate out there, right? So that personalization. Okay, next is the education. So this is really simple. Just putting in this type of arrangement with the period of time, month and year on the far right of the document, the name of your degree, and if you have any type of scholarship, go ahead and put it over here. Your degree results, some company do have to look at that as part of the requirement. And another thing to note is any relevant modules that you have. So for example, even though I am studying environmental science, but I did took some elective subject like social media management or management, presentation delivery or whatnot. If I feel those are relevant to the position that I'm going into, then I'll definitely put like 5 different relevant modules that I did during my university that could definitely add advantage to my application, right? So for example, this person over here, maybe he's going into a company that works with a lot of solar energy. Maybe it's a power plant company, has a lot of plant kilang all over Malaysia. Then definitely those are the type of modules this person is highlighting: power system analysis, plant and protection, solar energy, right? Because I'm sure you take like more than 20 different subjects at a university throughout your 3 years or 4 years, right? But just choose 5 that you feel are very relevant and is speaking on your behalf that, hey, I do have the right theoretical knowledge to be in this position. Okay. Now, next is your working experience. Okay, for your work experience, I want you to arrange it in a reverse chronological order. So the most updated one first, and make sure you use bullet points, action verbs, and keywords, right? So I do not want it to be like a paragraph. Use bullet points, active verbs, action verbs, and also the keywords. Now, keywords mean when you go and look at the job descriptions, you are already able to identify what are the keywords or what are the things that these employer are looking for. And if I do possess that, make sure you match with what they mention on their job ad. So for example, they want someone who are able to publish reports. Go ahead and mention it in there. If you have written or submitted any report at all during your university, right? So try to match the keywords that they look for in your particular resume. So every application, those are the journey that you have to go through. It might seem like a hassle, but the possibilities and chances for you to go to the next stage, which is at least getting a call for a phone interview, is definitely higher and possible, right? And then quantify and qualify your achievement. Now, when you build those bullet points, candidates usually just put in their job description. They just put in their job task. They just put in what they did over there. But what we actually wanted to see is those quantification of achievement, right? So how do you actually made a different impact, and what are the capability or the heights of your achievement? So we want to actually see that. I'll talk a lot more about this. Give you an example over this so you get a better overview and picture what I'm talking about, right? And next, make sure it's very specific rather than general. Now, again, you have a lot of things you've done in the past. Make sure you also highlight things that are relevant to the role. So maybe you were a cashier, like an example just now, right? So you're a cashier, you work at McDonald's, but then the position is, for example, for a customer service role. A lot of transferable skills over there, but about handling the post system, maybe it's not relevant, right? So go ahead and talk something that is very specific, tailored for the position. And you have to remember, we are only scanning this for 5 to 10 seconds. So when you write your resume, always have in mind that you are writing this for someone who will scan it very quickly. So you got to make sure that, hey, am I playing with the bold font correctly? Am I highlighting the right thing? Am I positioning the word into something that is really easy to digest and stuff like that, right? And make sure you articulate really well rather than making it flowery. So if you can shorten that sentence, go ahead, try your best to do that, right? So rephrase a lot of time to make sure it's really, really articulate in terms of your content. Okay. Now, this is how you write bullet points that actually sell and get the attention of the recruiter. I don't want to see something on the left over here, which is just average. No, responsible for, I participated in this, I helped with this. I don't want to see that. I want to see your achievement with metrics and statistics and quantification or qualifying your changes that you've made. So for example, number one over there, increase web traffic by how many percent, by establishing what strategy, and even letting me know the outcome. There's 13 million plus visitors per month. Now if I want to relate this to your situation as a student, you might have done these kind of things, maybe your part-time jobs or whatnot, right? But if you are a project director for a club or an association, right, you might be increasing the number of participants by establishing maybe a promotional strategy or whatnot, thus receiving blah 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 blah, right? So those are the way that you want to structure your sentences using this formula over here. Number one, starting with an action verb. So if you can see on the right side, bullets that actually sell, all are starting with an action verb. Increase, led, grew, right? So whatever action verb, there's a lot out there. Just Google list of action verb for resume. Go ahead and use those as a reference as you are building the bullet points in your resume, right? And then next is the situation. What was your role? So for example, over here, the role is, maybe establishing those digital marketing strategy and tracking analytics. That's the things that he or she was practically was doing. And then the impact, the so what was the result of this particular project or initiative of yours? What are the statistics? If you are able to have those data, it doesn't have to be very accurate. A rough number would also works, right? As long as you let me know what are the percentages of changes you've made and what was the outcome for that. If you can number it, better. If you cannot, then maybe you can let me know. You get a good, maybe 5 good feedback from your colleague, or receive a 95% good feedback from your participants or whatnot, right? So this is the formula over here that you should definitely use. I give a little bit more examples so that you have a more clearer overview. So for example, this person is a waiting staff or a waitress at Bob's restaurant, and these are the things that this person do. But what I wanted to see when you reflect this in your resume is something like this, right? So if you see in the first bullet point, part of a team of 7 serving over 300 customers 2 evenings a week. Now, from this one sentence, I already know the soft skills. This person has a teamwork skills because working with 7 people. This person also have a people management skills, working with 7 different individual. This person might also have a leadership skills, right? So when you work in a team, even though you're not in a leadership position, those leadership skills are also being enhanced. Over 300 customers, that shows you have a great resilient, right? You are able to handle pressure. 300 is a lot of numbers. And then 2 evenings a week, that showcase you took OT 2 times a week, which means you are a hardworking person or a determined person. So just from one sentence over there, I already learned 6 valuable lessons or 6 different soft skills you have received just by being a waitress at Bob's restaurant. Right? Now you get what I mean? When you put in your resume, don't think that, oh, I've done this, I've done this. I want you to think, okay, how do I showcase these are the skills that I get, right? So these are the skills that I have gained throughout this experience. How do I actually show this in my resume? Okay, another example over here. Those just now was like a part-time job. This one is for a project, right? So you put in the name of that particular project, the title, so replacement of whatnot, 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 and then letting me know in the bullet points some of the numbers that are able to show me the bandwidth of your capability. So for example, expedite the replacement of lower to better efficiency motors at more than 25 factories, right? So that showcased to me you have a great leadership skills, time management, work management. You also work really well with people because 25 factories is not small. It's not a small number. And one factory has a lot of components. So when you want to replace something in a machine, you have to go through the head of the factory first, right? And then you have to perhaps work with the vendor of that particular machine. You have to know what are the types of replacement item that you need to have or to purchase, right? So maybe budget management. So a lot of components over there I can already see by letting me know you are working for 25 factories for this particular project, right? So those are the things that I wanted to see. So when you write your bullet point, you have to ask yourself, does this sentence demonstrate your strength? Like I mentioned just now, all the skills that you have gained. Have you articulate your story really, really well? So making sure that if you can shorten the sentence, go ahead and try your best to replace it with something else. And does this actually speak to the job that you are applying for? So for example, for this project, maybe they are looking for someone who have handled factory in the past, and you've done it in this particular project. Definitely mention the word factory somewhere over there. So speaking to the job, letting them know these are the insights I've done, and definitely these are what you are looking for. So I'm putting it up front in your face that, hey, this is something that I can definitely do. Okay, right. Okay, these are just another example. This is a student who did a SDS band for his engineering degree in 2021. So this is a real example of how he talks about his experience for this particular project, right? So he innovated this SDS band, and mentioned that he collaborated with 5 people to write a comprehensive proposal and final report. I'm sure all of you guys do this as well. So go ahead, copy and paste this, but make sure you understand what you write in your resume, because at the end of the day, when you go to the interview stage, those are the type of questions that you want to answer. So they will definitely ask a lot more about this project. They will ask a lot more like, what did you do? So I always emphasize about this to my participants. Don't ask other people to write your resume for you, even though I know out there are some services to write your resume on behalf of you, but it just won't work, because when you go to the interview stage or you are on the phone interview, you are not able to convey the story really well, because you were not the one writing and building the resume from scratch from your heart, right? So I want you to go ahead and do that on your own. Do it by yourself, right? So this is an example over here. In the second bullet point, you see he mentioned a lot of numbers, collected 105 user behavior responses. It's really hard to get responses, right? When you do a feedback survey, it's really actually hard to get people to take the survey. So this person collected 105, which is a really good number, and get 100 user feedbacks on this using an online survey. So when he mentioned he used online survey, it shows to me that this person are able to build maybe Google Form, or maybe Survey Monkey or any other type of software available for survey, and achieving 90% potential user satisfaction in usefulness, meaning this project over here is very practical, and hopefully be able to replicate the same for the company if they are looking to do something like this. Okay. Right. So this is just some of the action verb that you could use, right? So if you are showing a personal qualities, you can use the word practical, versatile, driven, or if you want to show that you have worked with others, you have a great teamwork skills. And these are the most important element in the industry when you are working at your workplace: how you work with others, how you have a great teamwork skills, being transparent in terms of anything really, whatever that you have on your plate, all of your tasks, and then communicating all the timeline that you wanted to do. So if you've done any of those, go ahead and mention it. Use these as some of the action verb that you can use: collaborated, encourage, assisted, participated, some other action verbs available out there. These are just screenshot from Google. So if you want to show that you have a great communication skills, some of the action verb that you can use are, for example, persuaded, or spoke, or suggested, or presented something. I'm sure all of you guys have presented in a group presentation in class. Or you want to show that you have a great creative thinking skills. You can say you conceptualize new thing. You can say you develop. Some of my favorite action verb is you initiated something new. I want to see someone who are self-driven. Or maybe you improve something, right? So you improve a certain template or whatnot, you increase the working efficiencies. Those are some of the things that I wanted to see. If you're able to do that, that's great. Okay, next is the core competencies, right? So for the core competencies, I want you to mention all of the technical skills or the hard skills, not the soft skills. So you don't have to let me know that you have a great communication skills. You don't have to let me know you have a great presentation skills or whatnot. I want to see the core competencies. And you also have to make sure that the things that you put in the core competencies are relevant to the job description. Okay, so for example, the company needs someone who have a understanding of Python programming language or C++, and those are something that you might have done during your university, even in a short assignment like 1 week assignment or one-off assignment, but at least you've done it before, right? So maybe you understand, but the level of proficiency might be at the beginner level. Go ahead and put those in the core competencies section. Okay, anything at all, right? So in terms of budgeting also, if it is something required by the company, go ahead and put it in there. I'm sure you guys also do a lot of reporting for your final project. You've done that and the company also wants someone, they really mention it in the job description, go ahead and put it over there. If you're an accounting student, you use all this type of different software in the accounting world and industry, go ahead and put it in there, right? So anything at all. Marketing students, you've done digital marketing, you've done social media marketing, you use the Facebook business Meta ads manager, you've done that before, go ahead and put it in there, right? So whatever it is related to your technical skills, your hard skills, put it in the core competencies, right? In your draft, you can list like hundreds of different core competencies you have, but in your resume, go and pick out some of those that matches with the job description and the company. Okay, so go ahead and do that in your reflection. So this is an example how you can actually write in terms of the arrangement for your core competencies. You can say something like this: these are the key expertise, and the key expertise definitely match with what they are looking for. And then in terms of the technicalities, these are the things that you have used in the past. So for example, Power BI, MATLAB, and whatnot. Okay. And do not put in any bar level for your core competencies, right? Because it is not relevant, right? So the definition of 7 to 10 for you might not be the same of 7 to 10 for me, right? So maybe you say your AutoCAD is 7 out of 10, but then when I bring this up in my head, oh, you should be able to already draw this kind of thing, but then you can't, right? So the relevancy is not there, so don't put in any bar level for your core competencies and skill set. Even though you're just at a beginner level, go ahead, just put it in the resume. And then during the interview, you can have a lot of more conversation about that. Okay. Last is references. I do know that in this particular resume, it put in additional information, but I don't think this is relevant unless you do have a little bit of a space, extra space in your resume, and you feel like, hey, why not just letting them know? Because you know the interviewer or the hiring manager like cycling, for example, and you also like cycling. So that can be a common interest that you can have a conversation with in the interview. So the number one component I mentioned just now, liking, right? So that's art. That's actually an art of how you want to win the other person. So go ahead and put in your reference in the last section. So references, you can just arrange something like this, really simple: the name, the surname, position, company, telephone number, as well as email address. And don't forget to get the consent from your referrals, so that they are able to share their contact details in your resume. So your referees could be your ex-boss, your current boss, if you have yet to work or you don't have any part-time job. It could be your supervisor for your final year project. It could be a president for a club that you have joined in the past, the advisor like Sir Azwan or Datu Izwan, right? And your lecturer as well. Okay. Right. So some of the common questions that people ask is, what are the size of the font that we should use in your resume? So the answer is, it should not be less than 10, right? So the smallest you can go is actually 10. If it's smaller than that, I cannot read. So make sure it's 10. That's the smallest one. And can you actually use the same resume for every job? Now, again, I mentioned you need to tailor and personalize your resume for each company. And when you do this, you can also kind of see along the way that there's not a lot of tweaking or changing that you have to do. Only some minor changes, maybe changing the name of the company in the career summary part, or maybe changing a little bit about the relevant modules that you put in that section. Maybe changing a little bit of a keyword. So instead of saying you submit report, you change to publish report. You know, some of those changes is really small, but as long as you made that personalization, it's really important for you because you want to move up the application process. So don't use the same resume for every job you see out there. Okay, what type of skills should I mention in the resume? Only hard skills, right? Technical skills, because the soft skills I can definitely see from your bullet point, like how I just showed you just now. Okay, should education come first? Yes, for fresh graduate, your education should definitely come first, right? And should my most recent or most relevant experience come first? Your most recent, but how you arrange this is your most recent, if it's not the most relevant, but it's the most recent, your bullet point can be just 1, 2, right? So the number of explanations over there is very minimal. And then when you're, you know, the recent past, it's much more relevant, then have a lot more bullet point over there just to emphasize that I've done this, I've also done this, right? But I want to talk a lot more about this relevant piece of my experiences, right? So for my situation, when I was with HRD Corp, right? So my first government agency company, I was a digital marketer. So I do a lot of marketing project, campaign, was very fun working with the designer, videographer, working with the PR team, public relation team, working with the event team. So a lot of things and component over there. But when I jumped into employee branding, I did more on campus engagement. I did more on operational item. I did more on career fair and stuff like that. But when I go for the interview for Shell, I merge both of the experiences, but I talk a little bit more about what I did in HRD Corp because I want to make sure that the relevancy is there, you know, connecting the dots. So that's why I talk a little bit more on what I did HRD Corp, right? But at the same time, I also wanted to let them know that, hey, I've also done this, and I feel like there's some strength that I can definitely bring to the table from this short or like I don't really want to talk a lot about. But definitely there's some component that could help in terms of strengthening my application in the interview, right? So go ahead and do the same for your resume. And how do I address gaps? So for example, if you have done your diploma, you took a study break, maybe because you go traveling or you work, right? Just address it in the resume. So for example, you have 2022 to 22 to present. Right now you're working as this, but then in 2019 to 2020 perhaps you didn't do any work, you took a career gap. You can just mention in there with the title, maybe career gap, and then in the bullet point just mention traveling or personal family matters or stuff like that, just to address those career gap if you do have any of those. Because at the end of the day, even during the interview, they will definitely ask, hey, I see in your working experience timeline it doesn't align because there's some gaps over here. Can I just, you know, understand what did you do during those gaps, right? So might as well just address it up front in the resume. Okay, some of the common mistakes we do not want to see in your resume. Number one is spelling and grammar errors. Okay, guys, we have Chat GPT right now. We have Grammarly. So go ahead, use and leverage all of the software. You have your friends, you have your lecturer, you have your consultant at university. Go ahead and get them to proofread your resume. Make sure there's no spelling and grammar errors because it shows a lot about you, your personality. So if you're not a detail oriented person, you might be doing a little bit of mistake over here, and you have to remember this is a really important piece for you for your first job as a fresh graduate. Okay, right? And then don't use passive language instead of action verb. So make sure you use action verb. Go ahead and just Google out. There's a lot of list of action verb that you can use. And sometimes some resume are not well organized, concise, and easy to skim, meaning that maybe the words are just too much. They don't use the bullet point. They don't play around with the bolding of the font, or it's just a mess. So make sure you organize it really well, and it's not tailored to the position or the industry. Now again, it's just a small tweak here and there. Make sure you do that because this resume is representing your interest to go into that particular company. So make sure you match your best to the role that you wanted to. And sometimes there's just some unnecessary irrelevant information, for example, like your age, If you're not Malaysian, then definitely put in your nationality. But if you are, then I don't think that's relevant. Maybe your status also not relevant, right? So unnecessary and irrelevant information, you do not need to put it in your resume. Okay. Right, so some of the items that we learned today. So the exact resume components, the 3 core steps of the formula just now that I shared, how you want to write your bullet points and how you actually want to be different by highlighting your strength in one sentence. I can already see a lot, and craft a winning resume that will win the attention of the employer, right? Okay, before I go for this, why not we take up a few questions from the floor if you guys have any. Anything you want to ask, or if you know you've went to an interview, you have submitted your resume or whatnot, go ahead and ask the questions in the in the chat box. I could also pass back the floor to the MC to navigate through this before I jump into the next section. Just a little bit of sharings at the end on Shell, perhaps. Do we have any question? No?
Okay, Miss. We have collected some questions that have been asked by the participant via Google Form, and we have summarized them to question. Okay. For the first question, as someone experienced, facilitate and giving ideas on resume making, we believe that you do have some mistake made in your first experience in coming up with resume, especially before you getting ready to seeking employment after study. So can you share your experience on your hard time in creating resume or CV, and how you making your resume better afterwards?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Now, what I would say is, from my personal experience, I think I did the mistakes of not having strategy when I apply for jobs. So instead of really learning, breaking it down, which industry I want to go into, and after that, identifying which company in that particular industry I want to go into, and then breaking it down into, okay, the section of government agency, maybe the management level, more into management of the industry, or should I go to a private sector, and then after having a list of those companies, narrowing it down into what are the type of roles available in the company. So I think the strategy that I had last time was not using that. My strategy was basically trying to search a role that match with what I'm studying. So for example, I study environmental science, so I just search the role environmental scientist. So for example, or things related to sustainability. So it's the other way around. Instead of breaking it down from that type of level, I just go directly and see the opening that matches with my degree. So I think it's a better approach for you to do if you go into this way, where you see which industry you want to go into first by matching your passion and interest. So for example, if you really like sports but you're studying accounting, then the industry that you might want to go into is maybe company like Adidas, right? But still doing accounting and applying those technical knowledge, but within an industry that you are very fascinated about, or you really like about manufacturing, or you really like about airplane, right? But you are still studying accounting, you want to apply those knowledge, then go ahead and work in company like MAS or airlines, or maybe the management of those industry, maybe the government body that works around with the policies, but still doing accounting. I think those are some of the things that we should identify first, and then building those resume towards the position that is available within those company. And another note is, like I said, I just pray and pray. So I just search for sustainability role or environmental scientist role without even really listening to myself that I love marketing, I love business. Those is actually the first subject I secure at University of Manchester, International Business and Marketing. But then I didn't get to pursue because of my scholarship. So I ended up studying environmental science. But that's another story. But basically, you have to really identify and learn about yourself better. Go and take a personality test, right? And whatnot. And from there on, you are able to see, some of the strength that you wanted to highlight in your resume, and really tailoring it towards the job ads. And another thing that I also did a mistake is I didn't really use the job ads as a really strong reference and guideline for me, right? So I want you guys to do that. Make sure you look at the job ads and pick out the keywords that they wanted. So for example, if they really want someone emphasizing about a certain software, you've done it in your university, even though for a week, go ahead and make sure you put it somewhere in your resume, and try your best to match the linguistic that they use for their job ads. I think those are some of the mistakes, and that I feel like I could do better. Yeah, but I'm very blessed because I got the opportunity to work as a digital marketer as my first job, and really matches my passion. Really love to do that. Even though I didn't manage to pursue my study in that course, but I get to do my career, which is something much more bigger for me. Okay, I hope that answered the question.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Okay. For the next question, how do I impress employers or recruiters or job provider with my resume if I don't have any work experience?
If you don't have any work experience,
Yes.
okay. I think that can resonate with me too, because I didn't do any internship during my degree because it was not compulsory for me. But I did part-time jobs, though. I did part-time jobs, and then I joined one club in Manchester called Manchester Intellectual Debate. So I was the head of English for that particular club, managing the English part of the competition. And then I did my own business. Okay, so if you don't have any relevant or working experience, try to see if you have done any volunteering work, right? So any of your volunteering work that you do, even though you're just volunteering for the Mangsa Banjir the other day, or volunteering for the vaccination, you can also put those in your experiences. And then I'm sure you guys are compulsory to do internship, right? Is it compulsory for you? Yes. Okay. Then go ahead, talk a lot about internship. Okay, just those two is already enough. Just those two is already enough. As long as you are able to really emphasize and highlight the thing that you gain are transferable to the position that you want to go into. Okay. And another thing what I would do is you can also create a cover letter before your resume. So when you submit your resume document, it could be a cover letter plus resume. Have you guys seen some of the document? They merge the PDF. So starting with the cover letter first and then your resume. So that shows you really want to tell the company in those sentences in your cover letter, saying that you are really interested in the role. These are some of the research and the work that I did. Maybe not as relevant, but definitely a lot of transferable skills that I can bring to the table. As long as you are able to showcase interest, that is definitely possible. So for example, you want to go into digital marketing role, but you have never done digital marketing before, but you took an online course, like 1 or 2 hours online course before you made those application, and you mention it in a cover letter. That is already showing to me that you are a self-initiative person. You took your time and effort to actually build this skill set even before you get to the interview stage, right? So hopefully those could actually help you in terms of if you don't have any working experience in the past, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss. For the last question, um, what is actually the difference between a resume and a CV? It is the similar item in employment. If not, which is then preferred to be used in job application?
Okay, for me, my personal opinion, I think it's the same thing. CV and resume, still 1 to 2 pages, CV or resume. But maybe in another region of the world, CV is something much more longer than resume that you actually use to apply for the academic institution. Maybe if you want to be a lecturer, right? So I think those are the difference. But basically, when you go to the company, they will always ask for a 1 or 2 pages summarizing your background, your experiences professionally. So that can be called as your CV or your resume. So I think in Malaysia, the definition is somehow the same. Still 1 or 2 pages.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Miss, we have question from the chat box
Mm-hmm. Oh,
from the tourism.
ATS. Okay. Okay, so the ATS machine is a applicant tracking system, right? So it's a machine learning AI. So you input as a recruiter, you input the keywords that you want this machine to identify for you in a resume. So for example, I have an opening for a computer science or data scientist position, and then the keywords that I want this machine to identify in the resume is the word computer science, or is the word Power BI, is the word Python, is the word C++, right? So these are the list of words that I want this machine to identify for me. And you have to make sure, by using the job ads, you have those keywords in your resume. But also you have to be very honest lah. So if you have never used it before, then you cannot just simply put it in there. So that's where the effort comes in. Go ahead and took a short online course just to learn about it, and then you're able to put it in your resume somewhere. So those are ATS. I hope you understand, because for example, if you receive 1,000 different resume, and then we might not have time to go through all of those resumes, so we just wanted to identify a candidate that matches with our requirement. Then we ask ATS to scan them for us, and as long as your resume is ATS compliance, meaning it's a skeleton resume like I showed just now, really simple, no designing at all, whatnot, no logo, no photo, no image, no graphics, just a simple skeleton. It is ATS friendly, so the robot are able to identify those keywords in your resume. But I think most companies still believe to scan through their resume on their own, because they are afraid that maybe they miss out on a really high quality candidate if the machine or the robot rejected on their behalf. So yeah, so that's ATS. I hope my explanation is understandable. No worries.
Thank you, Miss Mariansa. I think that's all for the question.
Okay, good. Right. So if you do have some other question that suddenly came out in your mind, just go ahead and ask later. Whilst doing that, let me just share a bit about this GCA. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard about it. So GCA is a platform for graduate choice awards, right? So in this survey, they will ask you, what are you looking for your first employment? And from all these questions that they ask, they will feed, they make a summary of all this feedback from your side, like what you look for, what are the range of salary that you want, is location something very valuable for you, are you looking for flexible working arrangement, whatever it is, go ahead and put it in this survey. And once they have summarized all of this, they will pass it to the employer, right? So because the employer also wanted to understand what are fresh graduates and students are looking for in a company. So they want to make sure that their compensation package and benefit matches with what you wanted, right? So go ahead and take this survey, right? And this survey, they also are giving out some item as prizes, as you can see in here. MacBook, iPhone, I think Samsung, Android, also tab over there. So these are some of the items that you might have a chance to win if you complete this survey, this awards over here. And when you go through the surveys, after you answer all those questions, at the end, there are a few sectors that you will need to choose, right? So if you feel like Shell is a company that you want to work with, make sure you go ahead and choose engineering sector, oil and gas, shared services, and convenience store. In Shell, we're not only hiring engineering students, we also hire, like myself, environmental science students, legal law students, finance for accounting, banking, economics, and then statistic, data science, computer science, IT. I mean, a lot of background are in the company. So I want you guys to eliminate the mindset that Shell only hire engineering. So that's why when you go to this surveys, these are the sectors that Shell falls into: engineering, oil and gas, even shared services, right? Shared services is something that we also do in the company. And then convenience store because of our retail station, petrol stations, right? So these are the sectors that you can choose on the GCA survey, right? So go ahead and choose this sector over here if you wanted to choose Shell as the graduate employer, right? So I've been working with Shell for more than a month now, and I think the culture is really, really different over here. It's not the same as any other company that I've worked with. In terms of the people, they are very caliber, and when I say caliber, they really challenge you, you know, to really see the potential in yourself and go the extra mile. And I think I really love that. And in terms of the working arrangement, it's really flexible over here. We're only going to office twice a week, so 2 days working from office and then 3 days working from home. So it is something that I am really looking for. And in terms of compensation package, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about this. The compensation package is very attractive in Shell, and the learning curve, you know, the opportunity for you to work globally with the global exposure is something that I feel is very special in Shell. Even myself, I'm going to Philippines in July, so able to travel, while doing work. So those some things, those are some of the opportunity you can definitely get if you work in a company like Shell. Okay, so just scan this QR code. Take your time to scan this QR code, and maybe just save it later in your phone if you want to do it after this talk. Okay, it's possible, right? Let me just try. Oh, cannot. Okay, if you cannot scan this QR code, just Google out GCA Awards Shell. Okay, I think the QR code doesn't work anymore. So just Google out GCA Graduate Choice of Employer Shell, and then you are able to vote for a company that you want to work for in 2023. Okay, and make sure these are some of the sectors that Shell falls into. So you can see a lot of sectors in the platform, including like cosmetic, education, entertainment, and stuff like that. But if you wanted to go to Shell, make sure you go to engineering, oil and gas, shared services, and convenience store. And remember that if you submit this survey, there's a possibility for you to win these great prizes, right? So might as well just give it a try. And if you do feel like we are a company that you want to get into, definitely go ahead and vote for us in this sector over here. Okay. So I think the QR code doesn't work because I already tried it, and I think the QR has actually expired. Okay, so just go ahead and Google GCA Awards Shell, right? So GCA. Next. Okay. Now, I actually wanted to share with you about Shell Graduate Program. Not sure you guys have heard about it, and also SPOKL internship program. So Shell Graduate Program is a program that lasts for 3 years, but also depends on where you will be working with. There are three different streams, either technical, commercial, or functional role. So technical is something that you do with the engineering background, you know, the technical works. Commercials is sales and marketing, business, if you do a lot of those, because you have to see Shell as a whole company. There's a lot of component, right? So commercially, you sell the petrol, and then the petrol station as a franchise, or even all the other products that we have, like lubricants for the engine in marine. You know, we sell all those oils to make sure your engine works smoothly, and then a lot of other items available. So commercial will be sales and marketing. Functional role is more towards finance. So those in finance background can definitely go over here. HR, those with business administration, HR, psychology, even law if you want to go into HR. So HR functional role is also under functional role. And then customer service is also under functional role. So when I say customer service, it's a lot more than just picking up the phone, you know, and answering questions like those in telecommunication industry. It's more than that, because you are also handling clients from overseas. So if you are an advisor, for example, for China region, and you are able to converse in Cantonese, Mandarin, you are able to write and understand and email in those languages, then this is something that you can explore as a customer success specialist, working with them in terms of, you know, all the the legal documents, the liaison between the customers and all the other department available in the company. So a lot of opportunity to develop yourself definitely over there in functional role. So three different streams in Shell graduate program. And what you can expect from Shell graduate program is number one, coaching. And then after coaching, there's a formal training. So these are basically the journey over here. Progress checking, formal training, and then progress checking and mentoring. And finally, your assessment, passing your assessment. So it's a 3 years program, and you will be rotating twice, 18 months, and then another 18 months, so twice. And within those 18 months, you're not only a trainer, you're not only a trainee, you're not being trained, but you are actually being entrusted to do a project on your own for the whole 18 months. And you are also might get the opportunity to be coached and mentored by our global leaders all over the world. So this is Shell Graduate Program, and it's a really prestigious program where we only hire 25 students per year for the Shell Graduate Program. Okay. And if you are also looking for internship right now, like I mentioned just now, we do have SBOKL internship program available, and it is based in Cyberjaya. But don't worry, we have a flexible working arrangement. So definitely there's possibilities for you to just work in Sabah, right? So those kind of possibilities is there. If you are interested, go ahead and apply for this internship. And some of the department opening for SBOKL is like again, human resource, finance, IT, and there's a lot more. If you just Google out SBOKL internship Cyberjaya or SBOKL internship Shell, you are able to see all of these details. And these are some of the benefit that you can get by joining this program. Challenging roles from day one, definitely giving you to a lot of responsibilities that meant really well significantly to the company. Comprehensive financial rewards and benefits, definitely those are something really famous that you heard from ONG industry. Assurance, performance and competence, so a regular performance checks. And I do know that youngsters, of course myself as well, we love this consistent feedback, so we know, we know what we can like definitely improve after a small project in a short period of time. And then professional development. When I say professional development for myself, even when I see and observe someone who is very caliber, someone that is very confident, someone who has a great leadership, just by observing how they talk, is already giving me a lot of input in terms of how I want to develop better in the professional sector, in the professional part of myself. So those are the things that you are able to get in the company. And then in Shell, we really emphasize life outside of work, life outside of work. So for example, in Shell, we also have like an employee who is a full-time HR executive, but then in the outside she is also a dancer, right? So she do choreography and whatnot. So those things are something that is embraced in Shell. It's not like maybe some other company, they ask you to make it private, secret about what you do outside, but not in Shell. We really emphasize and talk a lot about it. Even if you go to our website, we have some employee stories who are a vet. Even though they are working in Shell as a full-time employee, they're also a vet for animals, right? Doctor animals, and stuff like that. And then diversity and inclusion, definitely something that I've been experiencing. Shell is global, right? So we have a lot of people from different location, different gender, ethnicity, and physical abilities. Even for my own team, I have people working with people from Australia. My boss is actually based in Australia. And then I have colleague from Philippines, I have colleague from India, I have colleague from US, from UK. So very diverse and inclusion. Okay, right, that's that. Now, if you have any other questions and you think like you don't want to ask it right now, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, right? And then we can have a little bit more conversation over there if you do. Oh, okay. Muizzuddin asked, you mentioned LinkedIn. Do we need to put the same of our resume content in LinkedIn? Okay. Now, LinkedIn, you don't have any maximize or cap to the space, right? You can talk a lot more on your LinkedIn. But in resume, you have a restriction of only 1 to 2 pages, right? So you are not able to elaborate it a little bit more. You just have to make it very concise, very articulate in that sentences, right? So what I would say is you can use your resume and put it in your LinkedIn, and at the same time enhance it a little bit more, just elaborate about it a little bit more. Add media, add photo in your work experience section. Add a proposal that you made. Maybe if it's not private and confidential, go ahead and put it in there, and talk more on your achievement. If I can definitely highlight those, right? So make sure you also create content on your LinkedIn platform. So not only have a really beautiful account profile, really optimizing and maximizing all those components, but also creating content, posting about all this achievement of yours, right? So for example, you have successfully run this event, go ahead and talk about it. You have successfully stay here from the beginning until the end, you learn about something, go ahead, do a reflection post on LinkedIn. And all this can actually increase your visibility on the platform. I give you an example of the power of LinkedIn. I actually secure my Shell job right now from LinkedIn because the recruiter connected with me, and then she DM me and said, "Hey, we have this marketing advisor opening in Shell and we're looking for someone like you. Do you want to apply for the position?" Something like that. It was a long message, but those are the essence of the messages. And then when I got invited, of course I want to apply, right? Who don't want to apply for Shell? So I just apply on the platform called Workday. So in Shell, we use those platform called Workday. And then you just submit your resume in there and fill out all those informations required, right? Like your address and stuff like that. And then after a few weeks, I got a phone interview. The phone interview, we had a little bit of conversation asking me what I do, what I'm looking to do, why did I end up making those application after I got approached and stuff like that. And then after the phone interview, we went for a virtual interview. It's called final assessment in Shell. So the first hour we talk more on personal capability, and then in the second hour it's more on technical capability related to the role. So in terms of the software that we use or whatnot, or the processes, the management of project and stuff like that. And then after those interview, I got the job. But then you have to remember, even though you have created a great visibility on the platform and recruiters saw you, they approach you, right? You still need to submit those resume on the platform, right? You still need to submit a really good resume that reflect what you have on your LinkedIn, that makes the recruiter approach you, right? So if you don't give the same visibility of what the recruiter see you and then passing it on to the hiring manager in your resume, you still would not get that phone interview. You get what I mean? So this document, professional document, is really important for you. Even though if you go to a career event, a career fair, right? Like we had last week, career fair at KLCC, you go to the booth, right? And they ask you, hey, we have this opening, go ahead and upload your resume over here. You have a great conversation. You feel like, oh, this is a really positive energy I'm feeling. I'm feeling that I definitely can contribute a lot in the company. But then when you deposit your resume and that resume is being brought to the supervisor, maybe you're having conversation with a recruiter, right? And the recruiter was saying, oh, this person definitely fit in the role because he done this, he has the relevant experience, he's really eager to do the work, really eager to be successful, whatnot. But when the hiring manager picked up your resume, it doesn't give justice to what you were saying to the recruiter, for example, because you don't really use action verb, you don't really give any metrics to your achievement, right? So you are not giving the right validation and justification for yourself. Ended up you don't get the phone interview. I mean, those kind of things could happen, right? So make sure you give a lot of focus and energy in building your resume. But definitely you can copy paste what you have put in your resume, but enhance it a little bit more and elaborate a little bit more about what you do on LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn, I don't think there's any maximum number of words that you can put. Maybe there is, but I'm not sure how much. But as long as you are able to talk a lot about it, go ahead and do that in the work experience section, and even in the volunteering section. And there's also a feature for you to add media, photo of whatever that you have done in the past, go ahead and make sure you use those features as well. And then you can also add a list of skills that you have. Go ahead and put it on the LinkedIn platform. And what else? Oh, and on LinkedIn, there's a section called recommendation, right? So recommendation is a validation for your hard work. So I think this is also really, really important component that resume could not give, is where someone recognize what you do and someone recognize your strength from their perspective and actually leave it in your LinkedIn, right? So when you want to buy something on Shopee, you want to look at the reviews, and does this item really what the seller has explained? Does this item really match when I receive it, whatnot? So you read the review and then you make the decision to buy. It's the same on LinkedIn. The recruiter or the employer will read through the recommendation, and those validation can help increase your chances of you getting into those companies. So we have 50 people in the room right now. Ask all these 50 people to recommend each other, right? So recommend each other. Whatever you saw your friend's strength are, go ahead and validate those in the recommendation section. Okay, right? I hope that helps. Okay, I think I can pass back the floor to Nur Zafira.
Sorry, Miss. I get one question here from participant.
Uh-huh.
The question is, would it be appropriate to ask about employee benefits like APF and what insurance are covered by the company during the interview?
Yes, that's definitely possible if you want to know more. But I think it's better for you to ask that after you receive your offer letter, right? So in the interview shows that you are really interested in the work itself. You are really passionate to do that particular job task, that job role, rather than asking all the other monetary or compensation packet and stuff like that. After they have decided that, hey, you definitely fit in the company, then you can have those conversation and negotiation in the end after you receive the offer letter. So I think it's better if you can just wait until you receive the offer letter to negotiate in terms of the benefit. And in the meantime, just go ahead and go and attend a lot of interview as much as you can, just to see your marketability as a candidate.
Okay, thank you, Miss. I think that's all for the question.
Okay, good. Please make sure to try to complete the survey and vote for us. Or if you want a simpler one, you can go to graduan.com. Have you heard about Graduan before? Zafira, have you heard about Graduan?
I think no, Miss.
Oh, you never heard about Graduan. How about you, Muizzin? You haven't heard about Graduan? You never heard about it? It's okay. I think he didn't hear that. It's fine. Yeah, Graduan is also a platform where you can try to find jobs. They also do a lot of sharings with employers. So if you go on graduan.com, you can also try to find Shell and follow us and vote for us on the platform if we are an employer of choice for yourself. Right.
Yeah, if there is no question, I think maybe we can in it already. Okay, thank you, Miss Amira Akila, for giving such an informative and interesting sharing just now. Hopefully, her sharing and advice will give us a lot of guidance and will be able to help us in the future. Okay. Friendly reminder to all participants, the attendance link has been shared in the chat room and all participants are requested to fill out the attendance link.
Can we have a photography session? Just a screenshot.
Okay, Miss Ken. Okay. Okay, before ending our webinar today, let's move on to a photo session for our memory. And all participants are requested to open your camera. The technical committee, please be ready to take a photo. Okay, technical committee ready?
Okay, maybe I will give another 30 seconds. Come on, guys.
All participants, please open your camera.
Okay, so everyone get ready. Okay, in count of 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, with our photo session just now, our webinar program has ended today. Thank you to the guest speaker, Ms. Amira Akila Hadi, for taking the time to share her sharing about resume. Thank you to the all participants for being willing to follow this program. Sorry for any inconvenience caused during this program. With that, me, Dayan Ruzafira Naziha, your host for Webinar Resume 101, everything you need to know to impress employees, would like to resign. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good weekend. Bye. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank you, Miss. Thank you for all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Miss.
Miss.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you, everyone.
So the participants can leave now. Again, Miss, from me, thank you so much and sorry for the inconvenience. For further honorarium, I will pay you individually. We will. Sorry guys, terlambat tadi. Aku menunggu tu keluar. Miss tu keluar. And again, thank you so much for coming. I mean, it is our program kan. Mesti dah datang. Nanti, I think boleh live dah sudah. Ataupun kita lah, gambar. Buka kamera kan. Untuk
Mau buka
community.
kamera kan ni?
Ya, better lah untuk community punya.
Sekejap pakai baju dulu.
Izwan, sorry ya dari aku kalau ada kekurangan di situ.
Nampak aku pun sebenarnya supposedly 2 hours kan.
Jadi aku ingat macam Miss ada mau sambung lagi kah?
Betul lah bang.
Okay.
Dah bang, maybe lah kan. In my thinking pun Miss tu tengok dia tu bang. Yang recording di atas tu. So dia boleh nampak dia laju.
Betul lah. Tunggu Harith dulu lah. Dia on the way.
Semua buka cam kan ni?
Ya, better.
Tapi aku tak ada background.
Macam mana?
Bagi
Buka je.
ada background ke?
Fatimah boleh buka cam?
Ya, boleh.
Jom.
Sejuk.
Sangat sejuk ada di sini. Ui, gila kau.
Terkejut. Sudah. Oh, mau digambar nih.
Mana siapa itu?
Coba tunggu. Your president.
Baru bangun Mbak Siatek.
Background.
Background pic.
Di mana ada background?
Allahu Akbar di grup.
Ada tu aku forward.
Okay, kejap.
HJ, siapa ni masuk ni? Oh, Harith Jafar.
These 9 Dutch guys who had all been in a together in what's called the Cartel, which is why the jazz band was called the Cartel. Euro 2000 was that summer, and Holland was a co-host, and Holland had a great team back then. Edgar Davids.
Siapa?
Harith, kita mau gambar apa? Kalau ada background.
Aku nak pandai bah.
Dah dapat. Siap kau guna ba tu? Guna background lain pun dah dapat.
Anda dapat. Kejap.
Tidak.
Kejap lah. Kalau
Pick ke
di
sini.
tempat tu setting dia apa sih ni? Show device setting, show meeting detail, show background. Kejap. Show background effect. Tapi ndak ada pun bikin tambah background.
Ngam ke background ku?
Macam mana kau
Ngam.
buat tu?
Ada blur jatuh kali.
Itulah tu. Ada
Okay.
plus.
Guna itu jalan memang dah.
Aku punya belum update. Sorry ya. Kejap. Macam mana mau buat background?
Dah boleh melintang ke pik?
Yep, boleh.
Boleh.
Ini lintang.
Baik.
Apa jam?
Tapi ada pula. Dapat.
Ini Gara-gara busy kan, aku
Okay,
tiada buat
begitu
game.
bagus.
Dah kan?
Selalunya aku buat game.
Oh, ini event.
Dapat lah Arif, sebab kau punya belakang tu macam putih masih. Jadi okey lah.
Oke ya.
Ya.
Journal kan.
Ya, macam journal lah macam tu.
Jom. Screenshot.
Aduh.
Aku nampak lah. Nampak.
Kira baju.
Hah?
Kasih sikit bang.
Dah rapat tu.
Sabar.
Sekejap eh. One minute. Sekejap. Gambar pun dah nampak siya. Okay. Ya. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mungkin tempat kau lagi.
Kejap. Kenapa ada... Dia kan?
Tak boleh.
Sabar.
Blur.
Okey. Gambar silakan.
Gambar je lah.
Okey, 1, 2, 3.
Betul tak tu tak.
Okay, thank you so much guys.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
baju.
Baju
Ngomong-
cepat-cepat sikit.
Di baju kamu ah.
Kau nak bersih diri.
Kerja di grup ah.
Bye.
Oke.
Thank you ya.
Alright.
Bye. Selamat bercuti.
Selamat
Idi.
cuti. Halo?